Hi there, Steve here from Spirituality Talks. Carrying on from like my last video, uh, just to let anyone know who's watching, I'm still having a bit of trouble with the heroin, and I've been smoking it for maybe nearly 3 weeks now, and it's certainly become an issue, and I know that because I've been spending money I haven't really got, and it's been causing issues at home, social life, but I found myself having a bit more control over my thinking process and my mind and not sinking into a depression and getting too carried away with negative thoughts. I've been looking and feeling and seeing of what's been happening internally and with my body. I've been noticing that it's the physical stress that the body is under, trying to eradicate these chemicals, similar to with junk food or anything else that's causing maybe excess energy, not enough energy, too much stress in the body, and therefore what people consider stress as, "Oh, I'm stressed out," that kind of thing is to do with that as well as that, but they both influence each other. So if you're feeling stressed, what does that mean? It means you're feeling something that's happening in the bodily, in the system, yeah, in the body, in what we call the body, or in the energetic system, the central nervous system. And or it's to do with it's to do with chemical release in the brain. Okay, so you have chemical releases, hormonal release. Yeah, these are what we call stress hormones, chemicals related to stress, and this also creates a feeling. So it's the thinking pattern can influence these things, although it's really happening. If you look at the work of Dr. Joe Dispenza, that's Joe Dispen SZA or ZA, I'm not entirely sure, but Dr. Joe Dispenza, his work on the You Are the Placebo, and he's done a video called What the Bleep Do We Know with a load of other quantum physicists and spiritual teachers and so forth about quantum mechanics and how that interrelates with what we call spirituality and everyday life. At the moment, I'm holding a turquoise crystal, by the way, a piece of turquoise that a friend gave to me. That is to help my communication skill. It's very good for opening up what we call the throat chakra, or the communication connected to the higher self and the soul, what we really want to say, and letting it come forth and flow. So I'm holding that at the moment, just to let you know, anyone that's interested. And yeah, carrying on from where I left off. So I've had these issues with the heroin, and as I say, my thinking process has become a little bit more conscious of how I'm feeling and just being able to watch. And that in itself has enabled me not to get into this stressful pattern of thinking. But as I was saying, there's still this obvious physical stress of the body. Now, if I can be at a point where I'm very mentally relaxed and actually happy and in the moment more and more, that will probably change the chemical components and the feeling of stress in the body. And I've noticed that when I've somehow got into a slightly what I call a meditative state, or a state that maybe is less physical, or at least a state that's in the present moment and aware. Yeah, so mind over matter, that's definitely, what some people call mind over matter. That's something to do with it. Placebo effect. Now, they've said that doesn't work with opiates. I've heard that said with placebo. They found it doesn't really work with opiates. I don't know why that would be. I'm sure there's a reason. I mean, the brain does produce opiates on its own. So yeah, I've got to look that up actually. It's quite interesting to find out. I think opiates are to do with that moment of having a big hug or love. And I think if we integrate more of that into our life and stay more in the present, maybe that will help to balance it out and become a lot easier to actually, for someone like me, I'm trying to wean myself off it. So cutting down day by day more and more, and get to the point, because I know that once I've had a day or two with it not in my system, then it's quite easy for me now with what I've learned over the last few years, over a lifetime, but also over the last couple of years, especially in relation to herbs and foods, and working with natural psychedelics as well as in conjunction with counselling, which has been brilliant. I haven't actually I mentioned it, but I haven't been telling the counsellor that. I just tend to have a few mushrooms and go to counselling, or But anyway, that's we'll leave that for another day. But yeah, that's been brilliant. Although I'm sure, yeah, there must be some psychedelic therapists in this country. Yeah, it's another thing. Look up psychedelic therapy. Is interesting for anyone interested in the therapeutic part, or someone who's working with addiction or addicts or what have you. And yeah, so one thing that came to me today, which is one of the reasons I made this video, is based on the work of somebody called, I think his name is Wayne Dyer. Okay, I can't remember at the moment. I think it's Wayne Dyer, but there's Dr. Joe Dispenza. Now it's about getting the mind into a certain position and the body into a certain position. So, okay, a bit like the placebo. Okay, so the way he's worded it is, you get into a meditative state. Okay, in fact, I'm going to take you through a very, very simple meditation. Okay. No, we'll do that for another video. We'll leave that for another video. But there's a breathing meditation. You breathe in and you focus on this area here. And you breathe in through the nose. And you simply, with your awareness, you watch, you feel this area here. You feel the touch of the in-breath as it hits your lip and it comes in and it goes out. Maybe I'll make like a 10-15 minute meditation video another time, and we can go through that together. And once you've felt the experience and you've got into a little bit and you know what you're doing, then you can obviously go about it on your own and or join a meditation class. But it's a very powerful meditation, this one, although it's very simple and it's non-religious. So it doesn't matter what religion you're from, we all have a breath and we can all focus on it, and it will carry us deeper into the moment, deeper into ourselves and in the present moment and the presence of the present. And what you'll find is lots of thoughts will come up, and old habits and habitual ways that you normally think will come up, and that will obviously at first you'll want to go and do this, or you'll want to go and do that, or whatever you usually do, or have a, whatever it might be. And as you're meditating, the longer you're able to meditate, the more of these things obviously you're letting go of, because for after an hour you may have a whole myriad of different thoughts coming to you from foods you can eat, sex, smoking, whatever it might be, your next TV show, and if you can maintain your meditation, you're also changing your habitual ways of thinking, getting back to a point of before you became conditioned, before you built up all these habits. Now, obviously, you can see how that will help with any addiction, and it will help with depression, because it doesn't just change your thinking patterns or make you more aware, it also changes your body chemistry. This has been proven again and again with modern science. It changes on a tangible level your actual brain chemistry, as well as the, what are they called, like brain waves. So you have like gamma waves, you have alpha, beta, delta, theta. These are the different brain, I can't remember what they call it exactly, but it's basically frequencies of the mind, and they're associated with, for instance, theta is associated with probably lucid dreaming, I think astral travel. It is a deep, relatively deep trance state. It's used in shamanic journeying and so forth, but also a lot of healing can happen on these levels. Delta is what we enter in the deepest part of our sleep, where there's no what they call REM, rapid eye movement, and you go into a very deep sleep where you just black out. That's delta, and that's where the deep healing goes on in the sleeping. And meditation, somewhere between theta and also alpha, is like a very aware state, a lucid state, capable of thinking, good for studying. So, anyway, you get the picture, and this changes with meditation as well. So it makes sense that if you go into meditation, I mean, yogis, they can change their body chemistry, they can change their heartbeat. I know for sure that body temperature can even be changed, these automatic functions. So it goes, if you reason it out, surely with meditation and spiritual practice, no matter what the addiction, no matter what the physical effects, we can find a breathing method or a meditation that will help to transform that and transcend it. And this is where I'm going, because that brings me back to my point of why I made this video, which was originally to share this insight that came to me of what I was saying about Dr. Joe Dispenza, and the fact that he's saying from his experience and from tests they've done, and he was a neurologist or a neuroscientist, So you're bringing this scientific aspect in, and he's been working on this for a long time. He cured himself after he had, I think, 3 or 4 mashed up discs, crushed discs in his spine and neck. They said he probably would not walk again, and he might. And within, I think, 12 weeks or a couple of months anyway, next to no time really, he was back on his feet and in good health, it seems. And this, he said, he done with his mind by putting himself into the position of being already healed. So he would meditate and he would rebuild his spine almost with his mind, and he would get to the point where he knows it's happening, and he wouldn't move from that meditation until he felt physically like he's already in that place. So the mind and the body are coming together, the feeling in the body, similar to an athlete who feels like he's won before he's won because he's visualized it. And if you visualize something similar to a memory, if you remember something on a deep level, it will change your chemistry and your physiology. You can create stress with thought alone, right? Just by remembering a very stressful situation, you'll find your heartbeat will go up and your breathing will become more rapid. And if you are picturing a potential stressful situation, once again, we're dealing with something which isn't happening in the moment, and yet it's having an effect. Yeah, so we're bringing a non-existing moment into existence just by picturing it to the extent that we believe it's happening. Similar to the point, like your brain cannot differentiate probably between a film and reality. So when you're seeing something in a film, your brain is reacting similarly to if you are seeing it in real life, and your brain doesn't know. In other words, it will remember it. So if you've seen 100,000 deaths in films, that's why people get desensitized and so forth. Similarly, if you picture something in your mind again and again, your brain doesn't know the difference. So it will create stress hormones, it will create happiness, by remembering something, so you can become very relaxed by thought alone. Okay? So that means if you are relaxed, you can create stress. If you're stressed, presumably you can get back to a point of equilibrium so in relation to heroin addiction or any addiction, one very simple thing we can do is to put ourselves in the position of we are clean, we are already we're already non-addicted. So in other words, your brain doesn't process negatives, I don't think. So you cannot say, oh, I'm not addicted. You don't want to deal with that. What you want to do is you want to live as though you're not addicted. So you don't think I'm not addicted, but you live although you are just simply in your equilibrium state. So you picture, this is one recommended way, this is just for me, okay? When I say it's just for me, I don't mean that, because obviously I'm an amalgamation of everything I've learned, and that is an amalgamation, a collection of what I've learned of many other people, obviously Dr. Joe Dispenza included, and so many others who have contributed to what I've learned along the way, from monks and meditation masters to my parents and my brother and friends along the way, and so many others. Recently with the internet, obviously there's a lot we can learn from professors and people who are the best in their fields, who back in the days we wouldn't have had a chance to learn off unless we were at certain Stanford University or Oxford, or in the Himalayas with a certain yogi or whatever, So that's changed, but that doesn't give us wisdom, and that doesn't give us experience. Yeah, for that we have to put things into practice, and we have to develop those things within ourselves and make them real in ourselves. Okay. So carrying on with that thought, we bring ourselves and we live. So you picture, how would I be living if I was living the life that I want for myself right now? So you're not thinking, how do I live if I'm not an addict? Because we can think like that, doesn't matter. Actually, we can think, okay, well, how would I live if I'm not addicted to this? What would I be doing in my normal everyday life right now? What life do I want to see? It's a more creative way of looking at it, is to say, what do I want to see in my day-to-day life? What life do I want to live? Am I happy? Am I content? Yeah, you can picture yourself back when you were a child before you were an addict, yeah, and bring that into the now. That's another way of going about it. And you can also reconnect through inner child practices. If you look up on the internet, inner child practices, shamanic inner child work, Ho'oponopono, Dr. Hugh Len. Dr. Hugh Len And if you type in his name on YouTube, Hugh Len, Inner Child Work, he gives you a great meditation. I think it's a guided meditation, how to get back to your heart and how to reconnect to yourself when you were a child. It's a very, very powerful exercise. And the more you do something like that, the more you become accustomed to getting into that state and working with yourself and building that relationship back up with the part of you that is now probably subconscious, you know. Because a lot of that work, when you are a child and you're growing up, a lot of that we forget and it's in the subconscious, and yet we carry it with us, and it dictates a lot of what we do and how we think and our relationships and our addictions. A lot of it comes back to something we used to do for a feeling of love or to get away from negative things, or, you know. So it's a very powerful, beautiful exercise, and we can also, that will help to transform our minds, and so we are there, and then the brain will be in the similar chemical zone to if we are there, and our bodies, you know, can have amazing effects. And also as a way of becoming more acquainted with the subconscious and that part of ourselves that is hidden away. It's sorry to drift off. If I feel myself going off a bit, I'm trying to bring myself back just with a grounded meditation. I'm aware that I'm a little bit stressed and a little bit all over the place on some levels with the heroin and that in my system. But I wanted to share this. I wanted to do what I would have done if I wasn't on heroin, in the sense, but also I'm doing this because I am, and I want to share something, and I want to hopefully contribute to other people who have been going through this, and to realise, you know, that we can definitely get off it, and the body can heal and transform. Now, once I'm clean, I'll take you through the use of herbs, similar to what I've done with the depression video and so forth, but a bit more in depth, and how they work on the system and the brain chemistry, and how to realign and rebalance ourselves quite quickly. All right, I've heard that there's someone at the door now, so I'm going to go, and I'll probably do another part to this and carry on with the actual practice and see how it's going. Okay. But I realised my mood and my mentality shifted very quickly when I start actually living, although I'm living a regular, clean life at the moment. And it's something to think about and take into account. Thank you for your time. All the best to you. Steve-O out.